I have Senator Jon Ossoff. Senator, good day, welcome to Indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back, both being from and of Atlanta. So Rashad, congrats again on this outstanding opportunity.
My friend, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. You and I have worked together inside and outside of the political realm. Your heart is towards service, and that's why I appreciate your leadership. And obviously, we were very proud when you got elected based on the policies that you represented. Let's talk about some of those policies. You got elected because people were excited about an agenda. People were able to have access to the ballot, and individuals showed up because of those dynamics. The state of Georgia then did something after your election. It decided to pass Senate Bill 202, which actually creates restrictions for people to have access to voting. You have some bills now being proposed that would basically unravel what states have been doing. You have the For the People Act. We have your bill, which is Voters Access to Water Act. Let me talk about that, Senator. The state of Georgia has literally made it a criminal offense if you hand someone a drink of water while waiting in lines, and Georgia is notorious for having long lines in black and brown precincts only. Talk about this bill and talk about how it connects to the overall bill For the People Act.
Sure. Well, look, if folks can remember the scene in Georgia in June of last year, when voters were being forced to wait in lines in Georgia that were sometimes as long as 6 or 8 or 10 hours. When the average wait times in precincts that served the black community were drastically longer than the average wait times in communities that serve predominantly white voters. One of the reasons that voters were able to stand in those lines, were able to commit to making their voices heard, withstood those unjust lines, was because Good Samaritan volunteers could offer them a bottle of water. I will never forget, I spoke to a caregiver for a woman who was over 80 years old, who had voted in every federal election for decades. She was wheelchair bound, she was on oxygen. She didn't receive her absentee ballot in time, but so committed to voting was she, that she went out and decided to vote in person. And she had to wait in a wheelchair with oxygen for hours and hours with intermittent rain. And she did so because she was passionate about participating in our democracy and making her voice heard. Well, the state of Georgia in SB 202, as you pointed out, has made it a crime punishable by up to a year in jail for a nonpartisan Good Samaritan volunteer to hand that senior citizen a bottle of water or a granola bar while she's waiting in line. That's why I introduced, alongside my colleague and brother and friend, Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, the Voters Access to Water Act. And Rashad, the great news is that that legislation has now been incorporated into S1, the For the People Act, which we moved through the Rules Committee just a few weeks back. I came to the US Senate, you know this, steeped in a tradition, in the moral tradition of my mentor, Congressman John Lewis, who gave me my first job, who walked into a storm of billy clubs and dogs and fire hoses in 1965, marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The courage of his example and the example of hundreds of others is what paved the way for passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I carry his spirit. All of us who represent Georgia carry his spirit. Though he's gone, his legacy lives on. And that's why I'm committed to fighting for strengthened federal voting rights protections in the US Senate.
Let's talk about the For the People Act, because it's legislation that literally creates a protection for the basics of our democracy. Democrats are on board. Every Democratic senator has co-sponsored this legislation except for Joe Manchin. Now, I know you have your Senate courtesies, but it is a damn shame that we have a Democratic senator such as Joe Manchin being adversarial to progress simply because a bill like this did not receive a Republican vote out of the House, a chamber he's not even a part of. I want to get your thoughts about how do you progress a bill like this forward if you can't get a Senator Joe Manchin on board? What should the strategy be moving forward?
Well, look, we need to pass federal voting rights protections. Because what we're seeing in Georgia and Texas and Arizona are state legislatures who are using force of law, abusing their power to tilt the scales in these elections for partisan gain. That's why SB 202 in Georgia slashed the early voting period for runoffs. Because as you well know, in Georgia, we have a runoff rule and the most competitive races go to runoffs. That's why SB 202 made it so much more arduous to vote by mail. And the sponsors of these bills have not been able to present a shred of evidence that the measures that they are imposing are somehow necessary to secure our elections. They are pandering to the former president of the United States, who, unwilling to accept his own defeat, has been promoting an unsubstantiated lie that he was defeated as a result of fraud. They've been unable to present any evidence. Court after court after court has shot down lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit full of these unfounded allegations. They are nevertheless pushing these bills to win elections. That's why we need to pass federal voting rights reforms. Look, I have a good relationship with Senator Manchin. Our staffs talk all the time about voting rights bills. But he previously co-sponsored the For the People Act. And so I think that the ball is in his court to let us know what he will support and to present a path forward. We got a very narrow majority in the US Senate, 50 votes and 51 if we have the vice president. We do have all to be on board. But the task of meeting this moment and passing federal voting rights guarantees is so morally significant and so important for the protection of our democracy that we have to come together as a caucus and get this done.